Greetings lords and ladies, and welcome to the Westeros Vibe, where Season 6 is finally here! It's here! Before we start, I would like to remind you that links to every article or video covered this week can be found in the video description below. Also in the description you will find timestamps, so that you can choose which stories you will want to view. We started the week with the latest character to return to Game of Thrones could have huge ramifications. Careful for spoilers. The character in question is Thoros of Myr, a piece of information which reignites our hopes for Lady Stoneheart entrance. The time is nigh, show writers, give us this awesome character. Moving on with meet the woman behind nearly every Game of Thrones set photo ever taken. Her name is Helen Sloane, and her primary workplace was Northern Ireland, photographing various show or behind-the-scene moments. The article features a number of them, as well as a lot of information about Helen. If you're interested in her work or story, then follow the link below and enjoy the read. Next up, second and third episode titles for Season 6 confirmed. Potential spoilers ahead. Last week, an article speculated these episodes' names and it seems it got them right. This confirmed that the second episode is called Home and the third Oathbreaker. For my speculation as to what these titles refer to, check out the previous Westeros Vibe episode. In other news, Liam Cunningham reveals a new character and others tease the White Walker threat. Be careful for spoilers ahead. Here's Liam's full quote in which he reveals a character which few people thought would appear on the show. Who I'm saying that to is a fabulous young actress who you haven't met yet, who's about to come in, who's Lyanna Mormont. He's explaining the situation to her because certain other individuals are making a mess of their parlay. He's very good at lateral thinking and explaining the situation, as we know. She's the current head of House Mormont, while her sisters and mother were down south getting slaughtered or disappeared into the neck. This could be an indication that Davos' trip to White Harbor in the books will be translated into the show as a diplomatic mission to Bear Island, which may spill into him being sent to get Rickon and bring him back to his bannermen. Moving on to Maisie Williams, Arya teases trouble with the Faceless Man. New declarations about Arya have been made, one of which by Sophie Turner. And she still is a badass, but she's been dealt the upper hand and she's been very unlucky. And this is about her really getting challenged for the first time. It's going to be a big season for her. Maisie added, "Of course there are elements in the show where women are treated badly, but it's representative of that era. And yes, it's disturbing watching a woman get raped on screen, but it's also disturbing watching kids getting killed, babies getting killed, horse being killed. Basically everything you can think of on the show being killed, murdered, tortured." Next up, George R. Martin is up for a spin-off and has an idea. The best choice in Martin's opinion is Robert's Rebellion, of course, due to its richness of events, political conflict, and epic moments. Another idea for a miniseries or special are the Dunk and Egg novellas, 3 of them as of recording this. Be prepared for sequels in about 3 years. In other news, Game of Thrones cast and creators tease Jon Snow's fate and potential return. This article contains multiple quotes from Dan, Dave, and Lombardo, some of them humorous. Here are just a couple of them. People have to understand, though, that at a certain point Kit Harington became such a monster that writing him off the show was imperative to our sanity and the well-being of the crew, the safety of the crew, because he's frankly abusive. I don't think it was an attempt to play with the audience as much to remind an audience of where we took them this season and the stakes of the next season. It generated enormous interest in a number of ways, but we take this show way too seriously and our viewers way too seriously to ever toy with them. I think it was really our intention to remind them, you have to come back. Moving on to Game of Thrones, Natalie Dormer details Margaery's desperate Season 6. The current Queen of the Seven Kingdoms is a prisoner of the faith, and her perspectives are not very positive. Or, as Dormer puts it, over the 5 years that I've played Margaery, we've seen in her in a lot of sticky situations, but she's never been out of her depth. She's always given the impression, at least, of being a step ahead. In Season 6 you will see her genuinely fearful of how best to handle the situation. She is scared and uncertain. She starts to look unrecognizable in places. The walk of shame looms large in Margaery's brain, that somebody as powerful and savvy and veteran as Cersei can be taken down that way. Margaery doesn't have the normal comfort zone of courtly politics. Being thrown in a jail had psychologically broken her to a certain extent. It's definitely brought her down, made her desperate. Next up, the Winds of Winter update. George R. R. Martin claims he has pages for a 6th A Song of Ice and Fire book. Big surprise, book 6 is not done yet, and there are pages and chapters mentioned. Hopefully it will be released before Season 7 comes around next year. In other news, Game of Thrones star Emilia Clarke calls Season 6 the biggest, baddest yet. In an interview for Variety, the Nest Stoneborn, first of her name, Queen of the Andals, etc., she answered a few burning questions which the public had for her, such as what is in store for her this season, her relationship with the showrunners, or the pressure due to the show overtaking the books. She also talked about winning an Emmy, and how long will the show continue for. For the answers to these questions and more, click the link in the description below and find out. In other news which will not shock or take anybody by surprise, Game of Thrones greenlit for 7th season. Judging by what David and Dan have said regarding the number of episodes left to put out, it is also safe to assume that Season 8 will be eventually greenlit too. Speaking of which, Benioff and Weiss estimate 10-15 hours remain for Game of Thrones after this season. This ties into last week's story about the last 2 seasons being shorter than the previous ones. One statement that the showrunners gave was, "We are approaching the finish line. From the outset our hope was to tell a complete story, beginning, middle and end. We are writing the final act now, and the last thing we want to do is stay on stage after the play is over." In other news, Nikolai Coster-Waldau unveils new Season 6 clip on Good Morning America. This clip will be featured in Episode 2, due to be released on May 1st. Next up, interviews galore, Nikolai Coster-Waldau, John Bradley, and more on Season 6. Waldau went on Colbert to say, among other things, "The women on the show are amazing. They're very, very strong, powerful women, as women are. They're not just the wife applauding her husband, they're taking control." Bradley briefly talked about Sam's reaction had he been present for the stabbing of Jon. Emilia Clarke mentions an amusing moment from filming a Dothraki scene, and Sophie Turner gives an interview to GQ and proves herself a whiz at Game of Thrones trivia. Other people whose interviews are featured in the article are Christian Nairn, Hodor, Daniel Portman, Podrick, and of course Maisie. Moving on to the last news story of the week. Game of Thrones star Maisie Williams. Arya's dark side is the reason she's still alive. In another interview, Maisie tackled a few questions, like, is Ser Mern's death the most shocking scene you have ever had to do on the show so far? The answer was probably. I would have said definitely. Arya is unusual from most characters as she has very private mission that has nothing to do with gaining power. And does Arya possess the steeliness to be a cold-blooded assassin? For the answers to these questions and more, follow the link below to the article. Moving on to the lands of YouTube, we have yet more videos to mention this week. The official Game of Thrones YouTube channel has released the last Season 6 trailer and a promo for the new show After Thrones. Preston Jacobs has released a video discussing the theory that Quentyn Martell is still alive in the books, and a Q&A follow-up to that. Vassals of Kingsgrave have released a discussion about King Viserys I and part 17 of their epic reread, covering more chapters from February to 99. Red Team Review has released 2 videos, the latest trailer breakdown and a discussion about some leaked images from episode 1. Emergency Awesome has released a few videos this week, a Q&A, the last trailer breakdown, and a video about everything one needs to know about Season 6. That is the news for the week ending on April 24th. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned. Goodbye everyone.